Hello, everybody. Welcome. We all just gonna sit down. We're gonna take a deep breath. Ain't gonna be no drama. We're just gonna breathe because this has been a week. If you don't know me, my name is Jonelle. This is my weekly vlog. And whew, what a week! What a week. So I don't even know where to begin. I reside in Riverdale, which is a city in the Metro Atlanta area. If you're not aware of what's going on right now, as of Monday, September 30th, we are under, well, not Riverdale, but all of South Atlanta, the city of Atlanta, is under a boil water advisory. And in Henry County, which is neighboring Clayton County, has a gas leak. And then in Rockdale County, they had a chlorine gas fire that has spread chlorine gas all over the Metro Atlanta area, even as far as Athens. I was out today and I did not see any haze that people have described in neighboring counties, such as Gwinnett. But yeah, that happened. Like 2 celebrities died today. And also Hurricane Helene came through and devastated the Southeast. I personally was not affected by it, but there were apartments in Buckhead that flooded. My friends in South Georgia and Appalachia are suffering right now. And also, that I don't know what chaos sequence that caused, but in all of that, as you know, this hurricane is going through the city of Atlanta, someone decided to break the window in my storefront, and the police contacted me and said, "You have to come up here." And I said, I'm not traveling. The state of emergency is happening right now. I'm just gonna have to leave my window open overnight. And luckily, nothing happened. We fundraised. We got the money. I'm very thankful to the Scraplanda community for pouring into us and giving us that money. And once we raised what we needed, I said, "Hey, look, y'all, there are people who got it far worse than us right now in Asheville and even South Georgia, and just please give them whatever extra money you got. If you got a giving heart, give them the money." And it's been devastating to see how much is taken from these people. And as someone who's been aware of climate change for the majority of my life, and things like environmental racism and the injustices involved with continuing to pollute our environment and destroy our earth that was gifted to us by something way bigger than us, it is devastating to watch. And I'm the type of person where I feel like I have to do something. So if you're watching this video, just know that the link, I'm going to include links to mutual aid in the description for this if you feel it in your heart to give. I also feel inspired to like ramp up my small businesses, because my side hustles were also my avenues for philanthropy. Like when I was selling jewelry back in college, I used to like give away most of that money. Like I like giving away money. And I can't do that with my current job. Just give. I give a little bit when I can, but like having that side hustle is just an opportunity. If I don't need the money, I can just be like, okay, let me sell some earrings so I can, give to a mutual aid group. Or even like now that I know there are certain sewing projects that you can do, like you can sew period panties, you can sew blankets, you can sew even jackets for people. If you have extra fabric, sewing a jacket, sewing baby clothes, things like that, because these people are going to need it. And, there's a lot that's going to happen over the next couple of months. Um, Asheville, I know I keep naming Asheville when there are other cities that have also been affected in Western North Carolina, like Blowing Rock, and Boone, and even like this very, very small towns. They're going to need us beyond this month, this year. So as you guys figure out ways that you can help, and as they rebuild, like don't go up there now. Please don't go up there now. You can't go up there now. They're only accessible by air at this point. But as you guys in the future, when you think about where do I want to travel to, consider Western North Carolina. Like I remember when I was younger, they used to have those little this or that, and it was always mountains or the beach. And when I was younger, I used to be like, yeah, beach, take me to the beach. As I get older and I visit the mountains more and more, and learn more about the Appalachian culture and just the geography and the nature, it's so beautiful. Like I've grown an appreciation for the mountains. So after they rebuilt, give them a minute. Don't just run up in there because you heard how beautiful the mountains were. Let them rebuild, and please consider bringing your tourist money to these places and tip very well and support the local artists as you guys shop for Christmas. And I really hope that the cities are back to some level of normalcy, or if you know people from Asheville, like if they moved from there, whatever, support their artwork this Christmas and beyond, because people are going to need it. And I know Christmas is a good shopping season, but at the end of the year, people also graduate, people have babies, people have all these things. So if you're trying to figure out like how do you support artists in these places, I know like with Etsy, you can see where a crafter is from, and you can also ask on Facebook and just things like that. Just that's another way you can support these people in these places. So also, if you're looking for more ways to support, if you have a flexible health spending account, like I have, Aetna Insurance gives me a quarterly $25 allowance at CVS. If you're not sick and you don't need anything and your allowance is about to expire, purchase some toiletries and supplies to send off. Like I just, it's September 30th, and so I get another $25. Well, my current money expires at the midnight tonight, so I get new money tomorrow. And so I was like, well, I'm pretty stocked up on supplies. Let me just use the $25 to get the things that on my flexible spending account and send it to people who need it. And so once postal service is back up and running, or I'm going to look at more mutual aid groups to send things to, so people will have those items. That's what I'm doing. If I can do more, if you know of ways I can help, please drop them in the comments, drop links, let people know how we can help. Even things like, you might not think like seeds, like people had gardens and people had things that they were growing and supplies. Send that off. Like if people ask for it, don't just send stuff because you have extra. Like, yeah, I got like 7 packets of tomato seeds right now, but if they don't want tomato seeds, if nobody's asking for it, don't just send tomato seeds, because also these plants are hard to grow. So if you're like, I'm gonna send you something so you can eat 4 months from now, what are they gonna eat today? What are they gonna eat today? Like, you're better off going to the grocery store, getting an extra can on top of your groceries, and sending that can off versus seeds that they didn't ask for. But if they do, like I said, send it. And I just say the biggest part of this is just remembering humanity. We have each other. I like to support mutual aid groups the most because it's like the most important thing to me is money. Give me money. Give me money for this thing. Then I have the autonomy to figure out what I need. Because, if I have extra fabric and I sew up blankets, I send these blankets off of my extra fabric, and maybe they didn't want that blanket. Like, I know, like, there's that stupid phrase that says beggars can't be choosers. Actually, you can choose. You can choose. You still have the dignity to, well, you should still have self-determination when you are receiving assistance, and you should have respect for that. So that is the beginning of this conversation, of this video. Like I said, please drop any links that you have or just ideas for how you can support. I am thinking about trying to figure out a community craft that we can do, like, even if I don't do it with Scrap Atlanta, I just do it with a group of people, a group of like seamstresses or something, like just something. So yeah, deep breaths. We're gonna get through it. I like to believe that we would. This is, like I said, it's been a very, very tough week, but in all of this, I've seen community. I've been on Twitter, and people have been posting links. People have been asking, can you help me find this person? And some stories were successful and some stories weren't. And it's just, it's very powerful to watch, to be reminded that we have each other. Somewhat segueing into my own personal life, with Scrap Atlanta, when our window broke, I was sort of just like, we got our community. They're gonna help. In the moment, it's hard to believe that they're gonna help, because there was so much going on. Like, this hurricane's happening, and I'm like, please help us with this. But like, I understand if you're going through something, and this was like one of the fastest fundraisers we've ever had. We raised the most money, and it was really just somebody, $20 here, $20 there, $15 here, $10 there. Like, piece by piece, we raised $2,000 to do this. And some people were telling me, like, on Sunday night, and even today, like, oh, I still want to help, I still want to give. And I'm like, you know what, we're good. If you still have a giving heart, fine. But also, like, there's more places to give. And I am really intrigued by philanthropy in general, because I didn't know that it had its own like field of study, that there's trends and all this going on. When I started as a nonprofit executive director, all I knew was that Black women-led nonprofits received about 25% less funding on average than other nonprofits. I went in with that number, and I wasn't like, bet I'm gonna beat it. I just was like aware of that was philanthropy. And now that I've learned it's such a complicated landscape that I can talk a little bit about. I'm still navigating it myself, but like, with Scrap Atlanta, we just received our first big grant, and it took years in the making, years of applying, and years of getting to know the people who administer the grant and what they want, and making a name for ourselves. That I often feel that smaller nonprofits do not have the capacity to do. There were some doors that were open for me that I don't think I started off with. Like, some people, they start off nonprofits and they already have rich friends. They already have friends in philanthropy. They got friends on the other side. Me, I didn't have friends on the other side. I just, I took the foundation that my founders had started, and I just built on top of that. And to me, this was a big deal. I was like, everyone loves Scrap Atlanta. People know about it. But I was going in rooms and people were like, what is scrap Atlanta? You have 5 seconds to tell me, and I have 3 seconds to care. And that was like what I was doing constantly. I still do a little bit now, but now I go into spaces and they already know what scrap Atlanta is. So now I have 15 seconds to tell people. And you know, I have data now. At the beginning, I didn't have data. I wasn't able to completely tell the story. I was just like, we're getting a store and we're going to have workshops. And people are like, all right, okay, nice. That's nice, little girl. Also, I look younger. I mean, I still look young now, but I started growing a year ago. And there's a little bit of confidence that I did not have at the beginning of my career, but now I'm like, yo, we're Scott Planta. We have saved over 130,000 pounds of art supplies from the landfill. We've had over 40 workshops with 200 people, and they pay an average of $11.88. Like, you just stat, tell people why we're important, what we do. We serve teachers, we serve students, we serve artists, and building the case for the community that we serve. Because it's easy to build that case for teachers. We can say teachers spend an average of $500 of their own personal money on their classrooms every year. And now that inflation is happening and $500 is like, if you spread it out, that's like $60 a month. But that's half a cell phone bill for some people, okay? And we're painting the picture for people. We're saying why art is important and why it's important for more than just children, who are great. Like, children use art to build their fine motor skills and everything. But adults use art to build community and give a voice to the things that they cannot articulate, such as grief, such as depression, such as the feeling of hopelessness that we are experiencing because of our climate crisis, political crisis, all of these crises. All of these things are happening, and we're trying to figure out, how do I make sense of this? And if I sit down with some Crayola Twistables and some construction paper, maybe I can figure this out just a little bit. So that's why art is so important. And you can make so many great things. Like, there's functional art, there's fine art. Like, people are selling these things to make a way for themselves when they're locked out of traditional methods of employment and income. I started my jewelry business back in undergrad because I wanted to go to Ghana. And I worked at a warehouse, but I was not getting any type of internships. My warehouse work was, I was packing orders, walking about 5,000 or 6,000 steps a shift. And, I was making like $10 an hour, which was a lot to me back then. I was like, ooh, $10. But I was making that $10 an hour, and I was applying for higher paying jobs, but I wasn't getting it because my degree wasn't finished. Because, they would see Jonelle on a resume and then see Jonelle in person, and I'm not what they want. So me selling jewelry, I was able to build this brand and make money. And like I said, when I had that extra money, I could just give back. I'm like, okay, let me sell some necklaces right quick, and then, donate that to a mutual aid fund. And now that, people, I don't really sell jewelry as much, I can donate my inventory to raffles. I can do some things. And if you're curious about my jewelry, I will also drop the link in there. I'm trying to sell some vintage sewing patterns, but Etsy Seller, that app, is getting on my everlasting nerve, and I might just put it on my Wix site. It's just like Wix is a little bit annoying to use, because I use Etsy for the visibility, but Wix is good for when you have that personal brand. And if you guys are interested, I can put on my Wix page and show you guys what I'm selling, because my original idea was to make a video of all the patterns that I got and being like, it's linked to my Etsy, but that might not happen anytime soon, so I might just figure it out with Wix. But I like that art can be an avenue for so many things, and it should be accessible to people, and it should also be sustainable. Um, you know, I was shook the first time I encountered a crafter who wanted to throw away a bunch of stuff. Like, she had rooms full of fabric, rooms full of patterns, books, all of that. She had rooms full of it. And she couldn't use it anymore because she was starting to lose her vision and her hearing, and just, she was getting old. And she had hit up my grandma and said, hey, I got all this stuff. And my grandma was like, oh, my granddaughter sews. We're going over there. And when I went, I couldn't even empty her stuff out. If I had known about a scrap Lana back then, they would, oh my goodness. I could have started my own back then, back in the 20-something, 2017. Scrap Lana technically did exist back then, but we weren't. I didn't know about creative for use centers. I didn't know about that. So knowing that people have all of this stuff and most don't want to go to waste. I know there's a lot of there's some nice people in the craft community and there's some mean people. But I actually think there's more nice people in the craft community. It's just that the mean people are the loudest sometimes. Like, I also, even on the YouTube comments that I receive, like, everyone's nice. The people, I think there's one weird comment I got and I didn't quite understand it, so I just ignored it. Please don't comment on my stuff ever again, because I still won't understand what you're saying. But I've experienced so many wonderful people who've given me advice. And like, when I first started sewing, I was very nervous. I was literally ashamed of what I sewed because I was not good at it. I was 10 years old. And at 10, I knew the stuff that I was sewing wasn't quite great, but I didn't know what was wrong. I didn't know I didn't have the right machine. I didn't know things about tension and maintenance and thread length and width. I did not understand that at 10 years old. All I knew was I put thread in machine, I put fabric through machine. It pieced together. Now, over 10 years later, okay, 16 years later, or I started 9, so 17 years later, here I am with all this experience of sewing, all of, fooling around and finding out I can sew some decent things. Like this outfit, I'll get into it. I'm going to get into it because this is a sewing channel. Sewing lifestyle channel? This is a channel where I yap and I sew. And I made this jumpsuit. Oh my gosh. Let me just see. Y'all can't see it. But I prepared for y'all not to be able to see it because I have the pattern envelope. So if you want to get into it, I made some bias tape with what is it? It was like a knit pink fabric. And I didn't meet it right here. I don't know why I didn't. I just didn't. I don't think I was supposed to do that really. And I could fix it at any given time. I just haven't. And I've worn this piece several times. And I love it. It's not patchworked by me. The pattern, it's a printed bamboo lycra. And oh girl, it's so soft. It's so soft. This is Black Passion print by Krenora Renee Fabrics. It has a piece of her Black Girl Magic leopard, which is, look, it's leopard, but it's black women. It's designed by Janine LaCour, another black person. So, look at me with my own, this is the jewelry that I make, and it's still available on my website. But look, just black greatness. And the fabric and the pattern was not designed by a black person, to my knowledge, but I will show you the pattern. It is McCall's 0528. I don't think that's the actual pattern number because it seems like it might have been like the sample number, and they might have had it for another number. Yeah, because this is MP528. But this is what I made. I made View D. And see, look. They actually had a different type of facing for the top. But I just really liked how this pink contrasted with the fabric, and that's how I made my own. It's so cozy. It's so comfortable. I highly recommend that you make it. Don't ask me how I pee in this. Just kidding. It's actually like loose enough for me to just whoop whoop. I do wear a bandeau top with it because it's just like I'm just not quite comfortable in my boobs in this top for them to fall out. So I just, especially if I'm around insurance, I put on a little bandeau top under this. But if I'm not around the children's, I'm around the house. I don't need no bro. So that was my fun little project that I did. I did this last year. I actually made this for 404 Day. Not familiar with that. City of Atlanta, our area code is FOFO. So on April 4th, we turn up in Piedmont Park. And I think a couple of several months ago, I talked about my new pattern organization system. Oh my gosh. This saved me. Today, this saved me because I like to show people the patterns that I make the things that I wear in the videos with. And the fact that I was able to just go in my pattern crate, pull up the binder, and this on the side I have pantsuits and rompers on it. Originally I was gonna get my Cricut and cut it out, but I had all this like scrapbook paper that I wasn't really feeling, so I was just like, let me just write this on the side. And it's all organized in numerical order. So look, oh, I've made this before. Actually, I ended up cutting this into 2 pieces. I've made this. And I made this. Actually, I need to show y'all my review on this pattern. Because I need to know, was I the only person who was hurt, who was made a victim by McCall's 8360? Like, I went on Sewing Pattern Review, and I did not see any reviews for this. I was the first one to write a review on it. And I did a work in progress because I was like, this isn't finished. But I need to write a review because in case somebody got more info on this, I need answers. So, haven't made this. Haven't made that. No. But see, that's fun. Like, now I can, it's good to go back on my pattern and see what I've made and haven't made. Because honestly, I feel like I haven't made anything. Which is funny because, like, for Atlanta Sustainable Fashion Week, I was like, I need to make a new look every single day. And Atlanta Sustainable Fashion Week sort of got changed around because of Hurricane Helene, and I didn't get a chance to go to the rest of the events. But I had a whole look, a whole week of looks. At this point, I got a whole month of looks. Like, this is the end of September, which is National Sewing Month, and something I tried to celebrate. And I did celebrate. Like, I made my fit from last week, my little Kiwi outfit, upcycle comforter look. And I feel like I made something else. Like, it's so funny how now it's like with sewing, I'm like, I remember making this, but then I'll go through my wardrobe. I'll do some laundry, and I can have a full load of clothes that's just things that I made. And for some reason, it doesn't feel like enough. And that's something I still need to work on because I'm doing great. And I also remember the other thing I made leggings earlier this month. And wait, did I make the skirt too this month? Your girl was on a roll. Like, I'm actually planning on sewing after this. Ended my National Sewing Month with a little bit of jazz and flair. And then I gotta go into Halloween mode. But it's been an interesting journey for me to give myself grace. Especially, like, I started sewing, like, before Instagram was a thing. And even when people started sewing on Instagram, like, y'all remember back in 2014 where camera phone quality was terrible. We had all those weird filters on things. Things aren't perfect, but for some reason I was like, they're perfect. They posted that, and look at those seams. Look at that. It's perfect. But now I see worse seamstresses because we got better quality, and people, like, they make, I guess, egregious sewing mistakes, and they have the audacity to post it. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I can post my mistakes, the things that I do. Like, y'all would be ashamed to know that this was like the first year-ish that I started marking my hems. Because I can be a very chaotic seamstress where I just, I look at the hem, I'm like, I put a ruler, like, make sure it's straight, and then I cut. Why can't I just mark it? Just mark it, and then roll it, and then press it. It's, it's because I want to be done with my projects. I really do. I read about 5 out of the 30 steps in the instructions. I'm like, okay, whatever. I marked it. I got it. I'm going to go. And then when I make a mistake, I turn back around. I'm like, ooh, how did I do that? But that's been a fun journey for me. Like, I think now I'm in my era of, I'm just going to sew what I want. I'm going to look cute. I'm going to stunt. Because I was stunting. I had an event today on Spelman's campus. And look at, in this outfit. I was stunting. I was stunting with my little vaccine band-aids going on, like, wow, I feel like so surprised that I'm able to bring up the mood of this video, because the beginning, like, I was like, will I cry? Because it's been a time, but in all of this, I really hope that whoever's watching this still has access to joy, still has the ability to find the things that make them happy, find a reason to laugh, find a reason to just remember that, despite all that is going on, these terrible news cycles, these, everything is happening right now. And I just want you to breathe. Remember that you are completely capable of creating the life that you want and deserve for yourself. In all of this, like, last week, I was, thinking about, like, man, this sucks. The window being broken sucks. The hurricane sucks. And, I thought about where I was and where other people were, and it was hard to deal with that. Like, not to think like just my fellow Americans. I used to live in North Carolina, and a lot of my coworkers were from Asheville. And, like I said, I've visited the mountains several times. And every time I visit the mountains, I think, how in the world do they live up here? And my worst fears being confirmed this week is harrowing to watch. And then, like, just, so I pause in reflection and optimism still for the people of Appalachia. I really hope that they're able to rebuild and be able to find joy, access, and sustain joy for themselves again in the future, and that we're able to rally together, not just as Americans, but just as a people, and help others without a motive, just help others. So that's really all I have to say for this week. Like I said earlier in this video, please drop some links to let me know ways I can help. If people need sewing projects, let me know. Like, as people move in, can we sew oven mitts? Do people want quilts? Like, what do people want, and how can we help? So that's it for me this week. I'll see you guys next week. Hopefully things will be brighter and better and joyful. Bye.